Oh, snap. It's time to yap. And I'm your host, Big C, and welcome to another episode of Just Yapping. Today, on episode 15, I'll be covering the process of job hiring and also the promotions as you go along and you go further into your career, different things to look for. Uh, from my experience, different jobs that I have applied for and unfortunately didn't get, but hey, that's why it's called a job process, right? They look for the people who are doing the hiring are actually looking for the right candidates for the right job. There's certain people that are not for that job and some that are just really, really well-rounded. So, I've heard in the past, I would say in the past like 10 years or so, the workforce, and it all depends on what type of work you want to do. The workforce has been like really, really plummeting, right? And especially those careers that have, hands on, um, get busy, and unless you learn by getting dirty or getting really again hands on to it, you won't know what else to do or how else you're going to get that service. Um and unfortunately it's pretty I would say sad, but there are a lot of, and I don't mean, I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just trying to be honest here. There are a lot of our young youth, uh, they want to be YouTube sensations, and they want to be, social media like sensations. I get it, and I'm all with it, and I'm for you 1 billion%. But the reality is that there are a lot of, natural resources and elements and things like that that need your help. Honestly, they need people to actually, apply and really get to it, because um, in certain job aspects, they look for certain people. Obviously, they're not just going to hire, you know, old Joe or Schmo or whomever, but they regardless, they need to teach certain people, because there's certain skills out there, that you really, really need to learn. Um, and as far as like, I know like my first times, like when I was like growing up and I went out to go look for a job and stuff, people were like, yo, you need to wear a suit, you need to wear a tie, and that's the thing. Now, like, I see people go for job interviews, and I'm not being funny, I'm just being real. Like, I've seen people go in like hoodies and like jeans and yeah, I like the job that I not my bread and butter job, my part-time job. I've seen people come for interviews and I'm like, okay. And then not even that, when they're actually working, like the job attire is like, man, it's really bad. There's people that don't care because they're like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do? Fire me out? Just go look for another job, and that's not good. That's not a good look. So you want to try to keep, you want to try and be professional as you can. In the hiring process, you want to look presentable. You want to, if for gentlemen, if you guys have facial hair, make sure it's nice and, nice and neat, nice and trim, whatever. If you have long hair, maybe tie it up for the women. Certain things. I can't go as far as the women doing interviews and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, try and look professional, for men, put on a little bit of deodorant, put on some cologne, brush your teeth, the hygiene. Hygiene is very important when you go for an interview, not only for an interview, just in general. I've come across people that, that do interviews, and I'm like, oh man, okay, and not saying that I can one day have, bad breath or whatever, my armpits stink or whatever, but I'm just saying in general, if you're going, you want to impress, I'm assuming, right? Or have some kind of resume set up, right? And a little, and just in case they ask for, you have it, or uh, you have it with you, or any like little certificates that have to go with the job you're applying to. That is a real big help, and I'm not a super guru as far as like doing the interviews and stuff like that, but I've sat in on a few of them, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, wow, man, things are different. We need the workforces that want to work, not the workforces that want to go out there and just like just work and not do anything, just get a paycheck. That's not cool because you're not going to learn anything, right? And it's, sometimes or in the process, right? Let's fast forward a little bit. In the process, you've been there a few, number of years and stuff. You're starting to get comfortable. You're starting to do this, and all that other stuff, right? But the one thing that I kind of heard and I've kind of seen, um, in the last few years is people who are asking for help, right? Because after COVID, unfortunately, a lot of jobs went remote, right? And some people are still like some companies are still, like they're trying to do away with remote because you really don't have that interaction. But then some people don't want to do person to person anymore because they're scared of getting sick, which is totally understandable. We've all been through it. So, but my thing is like one day there's going to be jobs out there. They're no longer because it's going to be held by AI. You see what's coming out there, AI or just remote or people that just honestly don't. And again, I'm not being disrespectful. Don't have a clue of what's going on in the world because they're sitting behind a desk doing instead of being out there hands on, and stuff like that. But going back a little bit. So I've heard like hiring process, right? There's companies that look for people, certain candidates and all that other stuff. And then like, I've never understood because I've been in that situation before where I think I'm a perfect candidate for not saying that the next person obviously above me, I didn't get that job. And I'm saying the next person is probably way better than me, but at least I have what you're looking for. Right. And I'm trustworthy and I'm punctual. And, once in a blue moon, I'll call in sick or I hardly, hardly ever call in that I'll be late. Unless it's super like a family emergency or an accident, I got to go over. That's different. But even that, I always leave early. Anyway, and you can ask any of my family members, am I always on time? So going back a little is just the fact that they want to hire, right? They have this thing like, oh, we need. And then you interview thinking you're going to be, the next step and, oh, come back for another. And you're getting like really excited and, you count your chickens before they hatch and then boom, nothing. And then the person they hire is a dude that and I'm like, what? Like, what did you have that I didn't have? And it's just honestly, and sometimes it turns out to be like a family friend or like, there's some kind of in. And I think that's wrong because I know people who have, the in and they're just, it is what it is. They're that type of worker. I'm like, oh well, like you could have had me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect because I'm there. I'm not even, no, I'm not. Nobody is perfect, but I'm saying I would have definitely been a better candidate for you. But that's just the way that, that's just the way it is in life. It's who right? But even though who they can actually, mess it up for the person who actually put your name out there for, but anyway, there's and that discourages people a lot, right? I applied and, I have all these credentials and all that. And then you get your application or your thing, you're overqualified. So I've said it because I know some people personally that they've dealt through that in the last, few months and stuff like that. And another thing that annoys me too is that if you're applying for a job, you would like to know, especially if you're a professional already in that job and you had umpteen years already under your belt with experience and all that other stuff, right? You have enough experience to say, hey, look, I have A, B, C, and D, and I'm ready to go. And they should also say how much they're paying for that job, like how much that job is offering, to get a person like you or her or whomever. But and then you go through the whole entire process, and then you're gonna make a couple like $15, again, I'm not being disrespectful, and I'm talking to those who are my age or those who are like in their or 30s or higher and stuff. If you've been in the business for quite some time and you just want a change and you just want somewhere where you can grow and move up the ladder, right? And maybe be a boss one day, they like it's strange, and you guys know what I'm talking about. It's weird. It's like, yeah, like that person's there because that person was put there, and they'll say, all right, I'll take 15, $16 because the new generation really did it. They don't know about the money and the expenses and stuff like that. They kind of don't understand. And it's frustrating because everybody else falls under that umbrella when it comes time for money, for monetary pay. And then you go through all that process, and the bitter end, they're like, oh, we'll be paying $14 an hour. You're like, what? I'm making, you know, 35, 40. Why am I going back? I can't go backwards. Like, and it's just unreal, right? But that's just, listen, that's just the sad part about it is that you're going to get what you paid for, basically, honestly. And I'm not being mean, but you're gonna get what you paid for. People that don't have experience, that don't know what's going on, that don't have a clue, they're oblivious to what's around them, and it makes the job and the people who work for that job like, if they can do it, I'm going to do it. And it's really sad because that's what it's coming down to. Um, so people out there who are looking for a job, even those that I know, people who have college degrees, they still can't get a job, and that's sad because you spent all that money for 4 years, going to a university of your choice or whatever, or whatever you can afford, and get a nice piece of paper that says, hey, I graduated here and I have credentials in this and that, and I graduated in this type form, and I'm looking for this job. And then it's like, yeah, no, we're going to hire this person for less pay. And it's just unbelievable that they say, oh, we need, and then just turn around and be like, yeah, no, we don't need you. We're going to, and then that person doesn't really work out, because then they figure out like, oh yeah, this job really isn't for me, and they leave. And that's unfair to the next person, or the person before that had all that experience to jump over, because they know they not going to pay you the amount of money that you want, which they should. But yeah, it is what it is. But on the other note, like, if somebody who has been somewhere for a long time, right? Like maybe like in their 20th, like 25, almost 30 years of service, like, sometimes people who are doing the interview are like, oh, why do you, after all this time, why do you want to leave? Why do you want, because I've been sitting here this whole time doing the same thing for the last, 20 plus years, and I would like to move up. And some jobs can't. Some jobs don't offer that. They do, but it's sad because instead of hiring from within, they'll hire an outsider that has no experience. They just did, whatever experience they had prior to that, not knowing what the job already entails. And then who's going to train that person coming into the job that you already know, that you've been there for 20, 25, 30 years, right? Why don't they just open it up to the people who are in your, like, and just say, hey, look, you have the opportunity to move up, or just promote because you're a great worker, or because you know what's going on and we trust you. And that's what a promotion is. Or taking a test. Some companies and something don't have exams and stuff, but some do. Why not have a test? And there's certain people who are in those boss positions that shouldn't be there. It should not be there. Yeah, great, you worked to where you are now, but how'd you get there? You know what I'm saying? And I just think that it doesn't matter the credentials that you have under your belt. Again, we're going back to who you know. That's how it boils down to. And the person who's sitting in that seat is not going to get up and move at any time soon, because they're not. What are you doing? And there's some bosses out there that are great bosses. They look after their men or their women, and they make sure that they're doing the right thing, and they make sure that they're getting all the help they need when they ask for help. And and there's always like other classes, or there's other things going around. They'd be like, hey, I think that you're a really good candidate to move up to be a chief, or to be a the head linesman, or whatever. And here, take these courses, man, so you have them under your belt and go. But there's certain people who just don't care, and just like, whatever. Hey, do you know where I can find a paper? Yeah, no, I don't know. Yep, I don't have a clue. I don't know what. Then what are you a boss for? Like, honestly, what are you a boss for? But listen, that goes with everything that's been happening these past few years. Like, and the crazy part is that they always worry about the little guy, what the little guy is doing. What is this guy doing? What is he that? But the person who's sitting on the top, don't worry about them. They hang out, they do this, they do that with the other bosses, with whomever administration. They go here, they go there. They don't care. They whatever. They can care less. But they're making, you know, how many more figures than you are. But they don't. They want to worry about me. But they're not gonna worry about them. It's just how it is. It's the political standpoint, the political views of everybody. Um, but going back a little, so those who are applying for jobs in general, make sure you do the right thing. Make sure you look at the job description that you're applying for. Make sure that you're ready for it. If there is a test, make sure you take the test. Then I shouldn't talk because I'm a horrible, horrible test taker. And there's been so many exams that I've taken, and we all know that if you're not in the top tier of either between 100% and 90, they look your way. So, but the thing is that I've always said that, and again, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just saying from my view, my point of view in all these years. I personally don't think that an exam, like a written exam, makes a person. I think the person makes the job, right? I don't think just because you took a test, and I get it, it's an entry test to see where you are, like in your mathematics, how smart you are. But there are people who are super book smart, which are like, I know people who are super, super book smart, but they're street dumb, and vice versa. There are people who are street, smart and book dumb, like me. Being honest, I'm, when it comes time for hands on, I'm good to go. You tell me one time, I'm good. But if you put a book in front of me all that time, I'm like, ¿qué? ¿Qué tú haces? ¿Qué? What happened? What happened here, Baba? I don't know what's going on. I do, but and it's not going to take me a long time to catch on. I would just rather you show me with your hands and your brain, and you tell me, you show me how to do it. Because if you do it and it's right, guess what? I'm gonna follow right behind you. I'm gonna do it. Which is probably the easiest tool, right, to learn a job or any type thing, right? Just show me and I'll do it. Um, me, I try to teach. Me being in certain jobs for a pretty long time, I try to teach the guy who's underneath me, hey, try this. I'm not telling you to do it this way. I'm saying try it this way. It could help, but if it doesn't help, then it didn't work. But just people have taught me, I've taught other people, and they'll just take it on. You're like, hey, by the way, yo, thanks for letting me know about that. It really, really did work. And I'm like, yeah, no doubt. But just make sure you pass it on. That's how we all should do things. Just pass things on. If they work for you, and there's no, you might change it up a little bit. That's fine, as long as it still works, right? Um, so again, with those promotions and stuff, like, make sure, like, if you're a driver, make sure you have your CDLs, make sure you don't do the wrong thing and have your licenses revoked, make sure everything is up to par, make sure you have all your permits in order. So then like if they call you for some kind of promotion and stuff, some kind of test, you're ready. And when you're ready, hopefully your number will be called and you'll be pulled and you'll whatever, right? You'll be happy and you make more money, and then family will be happy or you'll be happy, whatever. And then your retirement becomes a little different, right? More money in the retirement. So just you guys out there, when you're starting off, especially right out of college, just make sure that the job that you're going for, make sure it's the right job, because you don't want to go, being at the job 6 months, you're like, I hate this job. I don't want to work here no more. Because it happens. But some you really have to love what you're doing in order to stay in your job. And I know there's police officers out there, there's firefighters out there, there's teachers out there, nurses that love their job. And that's why that's why they are where they are, and succeeding and moving up the ladder really quick, because they're very smart, and they're just, they're doing the right thing. So please hit me up on my not my Instagram, on my TikTok, because I heard TikTok is slowly coming back. And also on my YouTube, please subscribe to my page, like my page, and send me some comments below. All right. I hope you guys stay safe out there. Keep your heads up. If you're job hunting, don't stop. Just keep going. You never know. Something's got to break through that ice, right? Just make sure your resume is like hooked up, and make sure, if you don't know, ask somebody, because there's usually some kind of like templates on Google that if you don't know how to really do a resume, it's all you got to do is literally fill in the blanks and just make sure you got your dates right, just in case the person doing the interview calls the place that you are currently, or whoever they want to contact, right? Or you write references, make sure you get good references. And just make sure you polish up that resume every time something changes. Make sure you change that resume. All right, so I wish you guys a lot of luck. Keep doing the right thing, and I'm Big C. Peace.